As we descend into the month of July, the post-E3 summer news drought starts to creep upon us. E3 hype, way past depleted, and has now fallen into memory. Game Informer's month-long coverage of Anthem has ended, and now, my friends, we wait. But even though not much is going on, and it'll get worse as July progresses, there are still a few things that we can pick out of the static. So sit back, chillax, and let's do the damn thing. Freelancers, what is going on, guys? Sly here, back at you with my first July Anthem news update video. It is July 4th, 2018, and for all of us out there who celebrate the 4th of July, may the beer be cold, the fireworks loud, and friends and family close. So, happy 4th to everyone out there, but never forget why we celebrate this holiday in the first place. But in this video, we're going to be diving into just about the last little tidbits of news that can be sifted out from the back half of June. BioWare has told us to expect another big update of news sometime in late summer or early fall. While some things may pop up between here and there and between that time frame, I only post videos if there's news to talk about, like actual new things, to go over. I'm not one of those channels who will keep posting things talking about the same stuff over and over just to try to keep views up. So with that said, I will keep you all as up to date as possible throughout the upcoming drought, but expect Anthem news to take a small dive for a month or two and then pick back up heavily in the fall. I will be here through each of those steps, and as always, I will keep you updated for any new developments throughout the summer and this upcoming drought. But for now, let's focus on what we can talk about. Game Informer has just wrapped up its month-long June coverage of Anthem, and Mark Dara is still going strong answering the same questions over and over again on Twitter. But some new things have popped up, so once again, let's break down all the new developments that I've come across since my last news update video back in mid-June. Once again, I always try to group these into relevant topics, but these things are kind of scattered. So let's start with topics revolving around the story. There are still loads of questions that are left unanswered. And considering that this is a BioWare game, character connection, depth of story, romances, all of those are BioWare qualities that people look for in their games. While we already talked about the fact that there will be 0 romantic encounters within Anthem, there will be deep character connections within this game, as you would expect. And while there may be some flirtatious options, you can't strip down naked and get dirty with some tentacles, human or otherwise. But BioWare is planning on branching out in another direction as well. There will be deep friendships and bonds within the characters of your story. However, arguments will pop up here as well. During Jonathan Warner's interview with Game Informer, we now know that our character is, quote, new to this area of the world, basically the Fort Tarsus area within Anthem, and they're not only a newcomer to this area, but to the Freelancer faction as well. Your character plays the brash hero stereotype, and this causes some amount of in-game tension, arguments, and dialogue. Jonathan Warner did say that Anthem's story and character connection will be extremely deep, more so than most popular games out today, but not as deep as Mass Effect or Dragon Age. When you start diving into a multiplayer type of environment, you have to trade off a little bit with story, as we all unfortunately have seen. Now, in a world like Mass Effect, where one decision can change the look of entire planets or course humanity into a different direction altogether, that wouldn't work with a game of millions who all choose different paths. So there is some give and take in terms of making a deep story here. However, he did say to expect amazing characters who you will be just as attached to as any other BioWare game, and for an awesome, deep, and personal story that you would expect from any one of their games. Now, speaking of story, we've talked about Fort Tarsus before, and how it will change over time, and change depending on the choices you've made. While there are still loads of questions concerning that as well, just know that the reason Fort Tarsus is a single-player experience and not a social hub is because of all the different possibilities and outcomes within the story. Everyone's Fort Tarsus will look a bit different during different stages. But when Jonathan Warner was asked how drastic the changes will be, apparently it is still something they're trying to lock down and finalize as we speak. Sticking with the topic characters and Fort Tarsus, we know that according to John Warner, there will be no returning voice actors from previous BioWare games, so don't expect Garrus to come back as a janitor or Shepard as a bad guy. Supposedly, the entire cast is made up of brand new talent, which kind of makes me a little bit sadly. Having like those small side spots for well-loved voices is something I always liked about games, but apparently there is nothing like that in Anthem. Moving on to Fort Tarsus itself and kind of like off-mission topics. Number 1, there will be no mini-games within Anthem, at least so far. To be determined was how Jonathan Warner put it. Also, number 2, Anthem has 0 plans to support an offline mode. The game itself is hosted within dedicated servers, and you need a connection at all times to play this game. Also, there's no fishing. So yeah, rip my dreams. And number 3, at this time, your forward operating base, or Strider, is not going to be customizable, like I said, at this time. And remember, we're still quite a way from release. So if there's one thing to expect, guys, expect change. And from the mood of the interview, it does look like it's something that they're going to be working on. And the final part we're going to talk about here, guys, number 4, and that's going to be lore within Fort Tarsus. BioWare is well known for their Codex, which is partially why Mass Effect felt so alive to me. It was due to its massive backstory available within the Codex. And I mean, just about everything was listed within. I mean, technology, story, people, capitals, planets, I mean, space, everything. And Anthem will have something similar as well. So far from what we've heard, within the city there will be a library of some kind or a vendor where you can read up about the history of Anthem and everything that you see around you. But again, this could change, and a simple in-game menu could take its place instead. This is all hearsay at this time, but the thing to take away from this is that there will be a place to go, whether in-game or in menu, to learn more about the lore and backstory of Anthem. Knowing BioWare, it's going to be extremely in-depth, which is going to be effing awesome. Okay guys, next up, let's get to the more interesting facts within this video, something on everyone's mind, raids. So far, we have the most conclusive evidence that something like a raid will be coming to Anthem's endgame, or Elder Game, as BioWare likes to call it. While I still personally think it will be a raid with a BioWare twist, everything seems to point that a raid-like activity will be coming. Listen to this small clip of Jonathan Warner's interview.
Forward to arguments on the internet, everybody.
Yes.
Jacques Walker is asking, are there going to be raids?
So we're going to talk about our end game activities later, but I think that you'll be happy with what we talk about.
And that's different from Strongholds?
Yes, that is different from Strongholds.
Interesting.
So that is pretty freaking awesome, right? First, it shows something that I've been saying all along: Strongholds are not raids, and it points to the fact that we will have a pretty large endgame within Anthem, where multiple pinnacle type of activities will be present, raids included. So this is good news, guys, and I absolutely cannot wait to hear more about it. Now, speaking of endgame, just to clarify, there will be tons of things to do in-game besides ultra challenging, like, pinnacle activities like raids. Strongholds, of course, will be one of them, and also there are multiple difficulties within these strongholds, from medium to all the way up to super hard. But there are also world events, smaller hideouts to explore and free roam. Then of course we have free roam itself, lots of repeatable activities, more to come on that, and then of course we're going to have daily, weekly, and monthly challenges, which have just been confirmed as well. So don't be discouraged if you're not a raider. I've been reassured quite a bit by the developers constantly saying that there will be stuff in Anthem for everyone, all the way down to the casual player, to the weekend warrior, and to the hardcore raiders. So I really do think this game is going to be large enough where everyone's going to have fun. So while we're on to activities, let's talk about some of the weapons, upgrades, and Javelin abilities that you're going to be using within them. And first, sniper rifles, my friends. They are for now in Anthem. Apparently, it's a hard thing to tune, but at this point in time, sniper rifles are confirmed to be in the game. Now, we haven't seen any evidence of this, but Jonathan Warner himself did say sniper rifles are in the game, so that is a fun thing to know. Next, different tiers of weapons. So far, there are 6 tiers of weapons within Anthem. We have common, uncommon, rare, legendary, epic, and it's been hinted at a weapon category called ancient. Again, these names might change, but for right now, that's what we have. And I suspect ancient weapons will be connected with different types of sets. There's no evidence for that, it's just my own theory, but as for right now, those are the 6 categories of loot within Anthem. Again, things could change by the time the game ships, but that's what we have. So now that we know the different levels, will they have restrictions like the Division or Destiny, where you can only equip like one top tier weapon or armor piece depending on the game? So far, it seems like that is going to be a no. Currently, there are no restrictions within Gear Rarity. You can equip all epic, all ancient, depending on the situation, enemy, and area. You can do whatever you want, which is an awesome thing to hear. Next, infusion, or bringing up lower end favorites so they can be used at higher levels of gameplay. Now there's some confusion here as in bringing up your old weapons to, like, you know, end game levels, but as of right now, my friends, that is a no. There will be a point in the game where you're going to have to ditch your old favorite weapon to go and find a new, more powerful one. However, there does seem to be some kind of infusion system where you can infuse different properties from older weapons into a new one. Jonathan Warner confirmed that there is an infusion system where you can infuse different properties from one weapon into another, but not its level. So while we cannot keep using Old Faithful throughout the entire 10-year lifespan of Anthem, there seems to be more to this system. We'll have to keep our ears sharp for more details concerning this, but I have a feeling these will be one of the systems I'll go into detail on here in a few months. Alright, freelancers, next up, let's talk a little about melee. Now, melee maneuvers will have no cooldowns. We know that by now. So you can use them for as long as you like, and a question was asked if you could change a melee weapon at will, and the answer here is no. Each Javelin has their own melee ability, and the best way to think about this is to remember the word ability and not weapon slot. There are no melee weapon slots on our Javelins, so melee weapons will not be something we can change by picking up loot on the ground, or at least not at this time. However, I suspect that they can be changed by upgrading your suit. This probably will change your melee abilities well, thus showing you something different on your Javelin. However, there are no melee weapons you can simply pick up and equip in loot form. So think of them more as a suit upgrade rather than a weapon that you can switch in and out. Now, while we're talking about Javelins, gear, and armor, if you followed the channel for a while now, when I went to EA Play during E3, I told you guys that I heard a developer say gear score at one point when I was talking to him, but he didn't go into any other details because I think it was probably a slip up. Well, once again, gear score is popping up. Some of you may know it better as item level. Last week, we confirmed that there are two different levels, one for the Javelin and one for the Pilot or Freelancer. Well, now we know that the Javelin will have a gear score, which is usually an average of all the different pieces of armor combined. We don't exactly know how many pieces will contribute to this, or if the system even works in this way, but we do know that the Javelin is based off of an item level, so it won't simply be XP or level based. How the weapons factor into this for the end game, we're not quite sure, but again, I think that this fall, it will all be explained. The only real concern I have about Anthem, at least at this point, bullet sponges. From what I saw at E3, things are quite tanky, and the demo was tuned down to make the experience faster and more exciting. So if things were tuned down and they were that tanky, what does that say about the game itself, especially the end game? Hopefully they'll keep that in mind, but once again, we haven't seen what kind of end game upgrades are available either. So once we see that, all of our questions could be answered with one demonstration. Once again, we will have to see. Alright guys, as we work towards the end of this video, the last big announcement, seasonal events have been confirmed. Things like Christmas, non-denominational holiday week, Festivus, Valentine's Day, things like that will be celebrated with an Anthem. They, of course, haven't went into any specifics on which holiday it will be, but I'm assuming, just like Destiny, it will be a fictional in-game holiday to celebrate that time of year. And moving on here, there are a couple of things towards the end that I haven't covered but don't really fit in anywhere else. So let's go ahead and get those out of the way. Will there be a barbershop or an area where we can recustomize our freelancers' faces or add something to them? That is a negative, at least not for right now. Also, we now know that on top of using waterfalls or water to cool off your Javelin while you're flying, simply diving towards the ground will air cool your Javelin. But not only that, ice grenades can cool you off as well. However, they can also kill you, so it might take a bit of finesse. Definitely the first thing I plan on trying day one. And the last big question, if you're in a group together with someone, especially during matchmaking, will groups be teleported if someone lags too far behind? Or if 3 members die, will the 4th be carried up towards the group and ruin what they are doing? The answer is no. In free roam, that is, you can do whatever you want, wherever you want. You can be grouped up with 4 people and then jet off to go explore by yourself and go as far as you want without ever being teleported or restricted. And with that, we are done, my friends. Now, some of these things you might have heard from other videos, but hopefully there were a couple of new things in there that you can take away. And as always, thank you for watching another Slime Nation Anthem News video. Like I said, Anthem News will start to slow drastically until summer's end. So do not despair, my friends. Keep yourself subscribed here to Sly Nation, and the instant things pick back up again, you can be sure that I will be on the information trail dishing out the latest news as it happens. Until then, I will be covering a couple of other games, so I hope any one of those will interest you in the meantime. I still plan on making my weekly and monthly Anthem news update videos, as I'm sure there will be something to talk about from week to week during the summer, so if nothing else, be sure to catch those. But as always, my friends, thank you for watching and for supporting the smaller channel. Feel free to check me out on Twitter or Facebook at Sly Nation on Twitter, Sly Nation Gaming on the FB. Subscribe for tons more Anthem, Destiny 2, and Division 2 videos. Spank the thumbs up only if you enjoyed yourself, and comment down below if you want to see anything else or if you just want to say what's up. Take care, y'all, and keep those eyes peeled for more Anthem videos coming out here soon. But until then, this is your dude Sly, and I'll catch you guys next time.